How to Win Friends and Influence People is probably one of the biggest classics in non-fiction books, so I had to read it as well, and it did not disappoint. Hey, it's Roy from ChapterDaily.com, and today we're going to be talking about How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. We'll be starting with a short summary, and after that I'll give you the strong and weak points, and we're going to be ending with a final conclusion on whether or not you should read the book. Timestamps will be in the description. How to Win Friends and Influence People teaches 4 main concepts. Make friends more quickly, how to win people over to your way of thinking, improve your conversation skills and become more entertaining, and lastly, acquire more clients and customers. The book has 4 parts with 30 chapters combined. The first part talks about the fundamental techniques of handling with people. When you're handling with people, it's important to understand that these aren't creatures of logic. We deal with emotions. We don't like to blame ourselves, and we mostly never do. So how can we expect to think that people we come into contact with will blame themselves? Everybody can point fingers and blame other people, but it takes character to be able to understand that you're in the wrong. So instead of condemning people, let's try to understand them. One of the deepest urges of mankind is the feeling of importance. This is what drives most of our actions. So the next time you see someone, give them a sincere and honest appreciation. This will give them a feeling of importance, and it will make it easier to become friends with them. Next to that, if you want something from someone, don't tell them why it is important to you, and tell them why it's important to them. So for example, if you want your children to stop smoking, don't tell them that this makes you look bad. Don't tell why it's important to you, but tell them why it's important to them. Tell them they won't be able to make the football team or the basketball team if they keep on smoking. If you want to persuade someone to your way of thinking, you have to show them why it's important to them. You have to show them what's in it for them. Then the second part, 6 ways to make people like you. If you want to make more friends and get more business partners, you have to become interested in other people. You can't make more friends by making them interested in you. Think about it. When you are talking to someone, are you thinking about what you're going to say next, or are you truly listening to them? Probably thinking, right? So keep your ears open and remember, to be interesting is to be interested. The next time you see someone, take a moment to think about, what do I truly admire about this person? Give someone a compliment. Why not do it? It's free. The third part, how to win people over to your way of thinking. Arguments are something we all go through. You might even like them. But the best way to go about an argument is to avoid them. Because when you lose an argument, you lose. But when you win an argument, you lose as well. Well, suppose you win an argument and you tell the other person why they are completely wrong. You will feel fine, but what about him or her? You've just hurt their pride. You've made them feel inferior. There's a good quote about this in the book. A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. Never tell someone that they're wrong. This is a fast and easy way to get them to dislike you. Here is what Galileo said about it. You cannot teach a man anything. You can only help him to find it within himself. You will gain nothing from telling people that they're wrong. Don't judge people by your own principles, but by theirs. Next, Carnegie talks about the secret of Socrates, which builds on the importance of getting yeses from your counterpart. When someone says no, they don't just say these words, but they embody it fully. Their body will say to you no. So the Socrates method is getting repetitive yeses so that your counterpart, without realizing it, is going to embrace a conclusion they earlier denied. Then we go to part 4, be a leader. How to change people without giving offense or arousing resentment. There will be a time when someone is truly wrong and you are going to have to tell them that they are wrong. When you have to do this, I want you to start with a praise. Praise them first and criticize them later. This praise will ease them and give them a bigger chance of accepting the criticism that you give after the praise. Whenever you want to talk about someone's failures, think about if you've made some wrong decisions yourself. Talk about your own failures first and later about your counterpart's failure. If a few sentences of humbling oneself and praising another can turn an insulted Kaiser into a staunch friend, imagine what humility and praise can do for you and me in our daily contacts. You're probably familiar with it. Someone is giving you orders, or maybe you are the one giving orders. It's not easy, but what if I told you there is another way? Asking questions. When asking questions, we can suggest our orders without actually telling them what to do. Most of the time this will lead to better participation and better results. The next lesson might seem a little bit weird, but let's treat people the same way we treat dogs. When we train dogs, we give them treats for everything they do right, instigating that they should keep doing what they're doing. Instead of using treats for dogs, let's use appreciation for people. When someone makes the slightest improvement, give them some appreciation. This will motivate them to keep moving forward. There's an important line Carnegie gives in his book that states how to use these techniques in your real life. The principles in his book only work when they come from the heart. I'm not advocating a bag of tricks. I'm talking about a new way of life. Lastly, Carnegie talks about the 6 guidelines that an effective leader uses when trying to change someone's behavior. 1. Be sincere. Do not promise anything that you cannot deliver. 2nd, know exactly what it is you want the other person to do. 3rd, be empathic. Know exactly what it is the other person wants. 4th, consider the benefit the other person will get from doing what you suggest. 5th, match those benefits to the other person's wants. Then lastly, when you make a request, put it in a form that will show the other person that this idea will personally benefit them. As I said in the intro, this is hands down one of the best books I've ever read. And in this segment, I'm going to be talking about the strong points and show you why I like this book so much. First off, stories. There were so many good stories in this book. And not only did they show us the significance of the lessons learned, but they also showed us that all these lessons and techniques are timeless. We can all become better in different ways, so why not learn from the man that has studied the most brilliant people in the history? Then the second strong point I wanted to give is that this book is relevant to everyone. There are a lot of books that are super niche and they don't apply to everyone, but I feel like this book is so good for everyone. Everybody can learn something from this. If I had to make a top 3 book list for starting readers, How to Win Friends and Influence People would definitely be in it. If you don't believe me, you don't have to buy it, but promise me, just go lend it somewhere. Just make sure that you read it, because this book will change the way you look at human interaction. Then 3rd, easy to read. I went through this book in a week and it didn't feel rushed. I genuinely enjoyed reading this book. The stories, to clarify, made it feel really light and fresh, and it's something that not a lot of authors can do. Then we move on to weak points. To be honest, I didn't really find any weak points, and I know that sounds like I'm holding something back, but honestly I'm not. In this topic I feel like he got everything right. I couldn't see myself disagreeing with him on anything. I feel like in this age this is a very important book. Because with all the social media going on and Instagram and all these fake likes and comments, people forget to give true love and appreciation to the people that they love. When reading this book, I felt myself giving more compliments to other people, showing more appreciation and love to them. And that alone is something worth way more the price than this book for me. If I had to give a weak point to this book, it would be that it could have been a little bit longer, but with 286 pages, that's not really a valid weak point, is it? So we've come to the final question. Is How to Win Friends and Influence People worth the read? Yes, it most definitely is. I'm not going to ramble on about it for too long, but there is one important point that I wanted to make, and that is that this is quite an old book and you've probably already read it. But there's one thing I want you to do. If you know anyone that hasn't read this book, share this post with them or just mention to them that they should read this book. Because I feel like there are a lot of people that could benefit from this book at this day and age. There are still too many people treating others wrongly, and it's our mission to stop that. So I advise you and all your friends and family to read this book. And who knows, it might change your life. Have a great rest of your day.